After the divorce, my husband kicked me out with not a penny. I went to use the old card my father had left for me, but the banker went pale and shouted, "Ma'am, quickly, look at this." I was in shock when I discovered that. Can you imagine being thrown out of your own home, not by a stranger, but by the man you vowed to spend your life with, all for his mistress? My husband didn't just kick me to the curb, he stole every single thing we'd built, leaving me with nothing but a faded, old debit card I thought was worthless. But what happened when I finally used it, that's a story even I couldn't believe. I remember it like it was yesterday. The thick, humid air of an Atlanta summer hitting me as I stepped out of the Uber. I just spent 2 grueling weeks down in a tiny, dusty town in Alabama, taking care of my critically ill mother. She was stable now, thank God, and all I wanted was the comfort of my luxury penthouse and, of course, my husband, Kwesi. I dragged my small suitcase through the lobby of the Sovereign, one of the most prestigious buildings in Buckhead. I was exhausted, but a smile spread across my face when the elevator chimed on the 30th floor. I was home. The hallway was cool and quiet. I pulled out my key fob, tapped it against the digital reader on the door. Beep beep. A red light flashed. Access denied. I frowned. That's strange. Maybe the card demagnetized? I tried again. Beep beep. Still denied. So I rang the doorbell. Twice. A moment of silence. Then, footsteps from inside, and the soft click of the lock. The heavy door swung open. There he was. Kwesi. But he wasn't my Kwesi. His eyes were cold, distant. He was wearing a silk robe, and there, on his neck, was a fresh mark of bright red lipstick. My heart seemed to stop. "You're back already," he said, and it definitely wasn't a welcoming greeting. "Kwesi? Why isn't my key working?" My voice was trembling. "Because I changed the locks," he replied, still blocking the entrance. Suddenly, a woman's crystal-clear laughter rang out from inside. "Babe, who is it? If it's a solicitor, tell them to kick rocks." A young, very beautiful woman, much younger than me, appeared over Kwesi's shoulder. My stomach clenched. It was Anaya, a local Instagram model I'd always found unsettling. And she was wearing my silk robe. The one I'd bought myself for our wedding anniversary last year. Her eyes swept over me, judging my simple travel clothes, my tired face, my worn suitcase. "Oh," Anaya said with a mocking smirk. "It's not a solicitor. Turns out it's the ex-wife." "Ex-wife? Kwesi, what is this?" I whispered, a stinging burn behind my eyes. "Who is she? Why is she in our house? Why is she wearing my clothes?" Kwesi sighed, as if I were the nuisance. "Listen, Zelika, this is over. Better we talk downstairs. Don't make a scene here." He didn't even let me step inside. He just stepped out into the hallway, closing the door behind him, leaving Anaya smiling smugly on the other side. He didn't speak as we rode down in the elevator. I was petrified, my brain incapable of processing what had just happened. The faint scent of Anaya's expensive, cloying perfume lingered on Kwesi's robe. The elevator chimed, opening into the busy lobby. It was rush hour. Other residents looked at us with curiosity, whispers following. Kwesi walked quickly to a secluded corner by a floor-to-ceiling window overlooking Peachtree Road. I followed him like a robot. "Kwesi, explain this to me," I demanded, my voice barely audible. "What is there to explain?" he said, coldly. "Is it not clear?" "No. You and I are done. Finished. Just like that. After 10 years? After I took care of your mother after her stroke? After building with you from ground zero?" He let out a cynical laugh. "Building with me from ground zero? Don't be ridiculous, Zelika. I am successful thanks to my hard work. You're just a burden. Especially after you spent so much time taking care of your mama in that country town, you forgot your duties as a wife. My duties? Yes. Look at you. He pointed at me with disgust. Disheveled, unkempt. I am a major developer. I need a partner on my level, not a housewife like you. My jaw dropped. The man in front of me was a complete stranger. Anea, so this has been going on this whole time? Yeah, we've been together a year, he said, without a shred of guilt. And she understands me much better. Suddenly, a security guard approached, pushing a small, tattered duffel bag. The same bag I'd used when we first moved to Atlanta. Kwesi took it and threw it at my feet. A few old clothes and a wallet spilled out. Those are your things. The rest I threw out, he said. Then he tossed a brown envelope onto the bag. Those are the divorce papers. I've already signed them. Inside is a settlement. All the assets, this penthouse, the cars, the company, everything is in my name. You came into this marriage with nothing. You leave with nothing. The tears finally escaped. This wasn't just humiliation. It was annihilation. You can't do this. Oh, I can. And I already have. His eyes were as cold as ice. Sign those papers. If you behave yourself and don't claim marital assets, maybe I'll be generous and give you cash for a Greyhound bus ticket back to your little town in Alabama. People in the lobby started to whisper, staring. I felt naked. Get out! Kwesi hissed. But this is my home too. Not anymore, he shouted. Security! 2 guards approached, looking uncomfortable, but clearly on Kwesi's side. I'm sorry, ma'am. Please don't make a scene, one said, gently grabbing my arm. I was dragged out by force. I looked back, staring at Kwesi with desperation. Kwesi, please. He just looked at me blankly, then turned and walked towards the elevator. Up above, near the mezzanine railing, I could see Anea's silhouette, watching her victory. The heavy glass door of the lobby hissed shut behind me, separating me from the last 10 years of my life. I was thrown onto the busy sidewalk under the Atlanta sky, which was already darkening, with only a duffel bag of old clothes and divorce papers that mocked me. Night fell quickly. The streetlights flickered on, but for me, the whole world seemed dark. I walked aimlessly. The honking horns on Peachtree Road sounded like roars in my ears. I had nowhere to go. My mother was still recovering in Alabama. I couldn't add this burden to her. My feet carried me to Centennial Olympic Park. I sat on an empty bench, staring at the skyline. My stomach growled. I hadn't eaten since morning. Ironically, all around me, restaurant patios were coming alive, the aroma of barbecue, fried catfish, and waffle cones making my stomach ache even more. People laughed. Young black couples walked hand in hand. I felt like a ghost, invisible, non-existent. I opened the wallet Kwesi had thrown at me. About $10 in cash. Not enough for a night in even a cheap motel. I pulled out my phone. Battery at 5%. I rushed to open our joint mobile banking app. Balance, 0. He had cleaned me out, every dollar, including the savings I had before we married. A cold, heavy despair wrapped around me. This was it. I was truly at rock bottom. Homeless tonight. Tears fell silently. I looked down at the contents of my wallet again. Behind a card slot was a faded photo of my father, Tendio. A simple tobacco farmer who died 10 years ago, just before I married Kwesi. And behind that photo, something else. My trembling fingers pulled it out. A faded blue debit card, peeling at the edges. The logo was barely legible, Heritage Trust of the South, a small, old regional bank. I was stunned. I remembered now. My father gave me this card when I was 17, when I was moving out for college at Spelman. "Keep this, my baby girl," he'd said, his voice soft but firm. "This is an account Papa created for you. Never use it unless it is absolutely necessary. Don't mix it with money for your expenses. Imagine it doesn't exist." "How much is in it, Papa?" I'd asked. He just smiled mysteriously. "Enough to be an anchor. If you ever feel like your ship is going to sink, use this. But as long as you can sail, don't touch this anchor." I never used it. I forgot about it. College, then Quasi, building his empire. I always thought it held at most a few $100s, the remains of some forgotten allowance. But tonight, my ship wasn't just sinking. It was blown to pieces. I held the card tight. $10 wasn't enough for anything. But maybe the rest of my father's money would be enough for a bus ticket back to Alabama. A small hope, as thin as a thread, began to light up in my chest. I didn't sleep that night. I took shelter under the awning of a closed shop, hugging my duffel bag tight, waiting for morning. I was dirty, hungry, and scared, but the faded card felt warm in my hand. At 8 a.m., I stood in front of a branch of Heritage Trust of the South on a side street in downtown Atlanta. It was exactly as I remembered from childhood visits, an old stone building, anchored in the past, far from the modern glass and steel banks where Quasi kept his money. Inside, the atmosphere was quiet. 2 tellers, a customer service desk. The smell of old paper and dust filled the room. I took a number. I was the only customer. A young man in a white shirt, Kofi, called me to his desk. "Good morning, ma'am. How can I help you?" He was polite, though his eyes showed a hint of confusion at my disheveled appearance. "Good morning," I said, my voice hoarse. "I want to check the balance, but the card is very old, and I've forgotten the PIN." I handed him the faded blue card. Kofi took it, frowning. "Wow, ma'am. This card is ancient. This is our old logo. Can it still be used?" I asked anxiously. "I'll check, ma'am." He took my ID, matching the name Zelika Okafor. He started typing. The system seemed slow. He typed, clicked, then frowned again. That's strange," he murmured. "What's wrong?" My heart beat wildly. "The data isn't coming up directly. Ma'am, our legacy system is sometimes a little slow. It seems this account is in an inactive or dormant state." "How long has it been since there were transactions?" "Maybe 10 years, I replied hesitantly. Kofi's eyes went wide. 10 years? One moment, ma'am. I'm going to try accessing the manual server." His fingers danced over the keyboard. His screen flickered, showing rows of green code I didn't understand. Silence. Only the keyboard and the noisy air conditioning. I bit my lip. It's over, I thought. Surely the account's been closed. The money lost. Kofi scratched his head. How odd. The balance isn't reading, ma'am. But there is a sort of flag. An alert on this account. A high-level alert. Alert? Does that mean I have debt? I panicked. No, not debt. I've never seen a code like this. One moment, ma'am. He typed a series of commands. The computer thought for a moment. Then, something appeared on his screen. Kofi's face, relaxed before, suddenly went pale. His eyes opened wide, glued to the monitor. "Mr. Kofi?" I called out. He didn't answer. He seemed frozen, rereading the screen. His mouth opened slightly. He swallowed hard. Suddenly, he stood up so fast his chair flew backward, screeching loudly. Mr. Zubari. Mr. Director. His voice was shrill, breaking the silence of the small bank. He didn't care about me anymore, his eyes were still glued to the screen with horror. A middle-aged black man with a stern look, Mr. Zubari, the branch manager, stepped out of his office. What is it, Kofi? Don't shout like that. There are customers. I'm sorry, sir, but you have to see this. Kofi pointed at the screen with a trembling hand. Account in the name of Zelika Okafor, inheritance from her father, Tendio. Mr. Zubari sighed, annoyed, and walked toward Kofi's desk, preparing to lecture his young employee. He glanced at the screen, then he froze. His rigid, professional face crumbled. His expression changed from annoyance to confusion, then to deathly pallor. He looked at the screen, then at me, then back at the screen. Ma'am, Mrs. Zelika Okafor? He asked, his voice, previously firm, now trembling. Yes, sir, I whispered, scared. What's wrong? Was my father a criminal? Kofi. Mr. Zubari ordered. Close your window quickly. Put up the closed sign. Take Mrs. Zelika to my office right now. Don't let anyone see this screen. The order was so urgent, so full of panic, that I jumped. Kofi, stuttering, immediately put up the closed sign and turned off his monitor. Come with me, ma'am, he said, now treating me with immense respect, almost fear. In Mr. Zubari's cramped office, the door was locked instantly. He paced for a moment before sitting in his chair, his hands shaking slightly as he turned on his desk computer. Excuse me, ma'am. You caught us by surprise, he said. Actually, what is happening, sir? Did my father leave a huge debt? I asked, on the verge of tears. Debt? Mr. Zubari let out a nervous chuckle. No, ma'am. Far from it. He turned his monitor towards me. Kofi, standing in the room, pointed at the screen, holding his breath. Ma'am, look at this quickly. The screen didn't show a balance in dollars. It showed an ownership structure diagram. Ma'am, Mr. Zubari said, his voice low with astonishment. This account is not a normal savings account. This is a master account connected to a limited liability company. A corporation? I frowned. Corporation LLC. Correct. Called Okafor Legacy Holdings LLC. This company was founded by your father, Tendai Okafor, in 1998 and was left inactive exactly 20 years ago. But my father was just a tobacco salesman. That is what he wanted people to know, ma'am, Mr. Zubari interrupted. Your father seems he wasn't just a salesman. He was a land broker. A genius one at that. He clicked on a tab. Title, List of Assets. Okafor Legacy Holdings LLC. Mr. Zubari continued reading. It is the legal owner of 2,000 acres of pecan groves and farmland in South Georgia, all under this deed. The sole ownership was transferred completely to you as the heir with a special clause. What clause? I whispered. This company activates automatically, and all its assets become accessible to the heir, only if the heir accesses this master account in a desperate situation, or if the balance of their personal account is zero. My jaw dropped. My father, he had predicted this. I looked at the row of numbers on the screen. They weren't savings figures, they were land acreage. I didn't faint. I didn't scream. I simply sat up straight. The hunger, the exhaustion, the humiliation I'd felt for the last 24 hours evaporated. They were replaced by something else, something cold, sharp, and very strong. I remembered Kwesi's mocking face. Anaya's victory smile. Mr. Zubari, I said, my voice calm and cold, surprising myself. Yes, ma'am? How do I activate this company right now? Mr. Zubari looked at me with concern. My reaction was totally unexpected. I wasn't crying, wasn't screaming with joy. My eyes, swollen from crying all night, were now hardened. I stared at the computer screen with a terrifying focus. Mr. Zubari, I repeated, my voice steady. What do I need to activate this? He stuttered. Technically, it is already active, ma'am. As soon as you access this account with a null personal balance, the clause was fulfilled. Our legal team managing the trust, well, they are already waiting for your instructions. Kofi, the young employee, promptly poured a glass of water and placed it in front of me. I didn't drink it. My father, Tendio. What else do you know about him? Mr. Zubari opened a drawer, pulling out a thick, dusty folder. Your father was a priority client long before the term private banking existed. He left this, a letter and legal documents. He said, this can only be opened by my daughter, or by us if she has accessed the account. He handed me a yellowed envelope. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside, a sheet of paper, neatly handwritten. To my baby girl, Zelika, if you are reading this, it means there are two possibilities. First, Papa is no longer here and you are ready to start your own life. Second, life hasn't gone according to your plans. Papa was a salesman. It's true. But Papa also knew that this world isn't always fair to good black women like you. I saw how they treated your mother. Papa kept a small anchor for you, not to spoil you, but to ensure you have options when you feel cornered. Papa designed the desperate clause on purpose. I know you are smart, but your heart is too soft. I was afraid. If you had wealth, you would attract the wrong man. And if you didn't have wealth, you would be oppressed by the wrong man. Papa failed in one thing. I hope you never need to read this letter. But if you read it, remember Papa's message. Don't cry. Don't get revenge with tears. Build your own kingdom, my child. Make them regret it. The anchor has been dropped. Now sail, baby girl. Papa. The tears I'd been holding back finally fell. They weren't tears of sadness, but of understanding. My father, the simple salesman, had seen the future. He had seen Kwesi decades before Kwesi existed. I wiped my tears with the back of my hand. I looked at Mr. Zubari. I need 3 things, I said. What things, ma'am? First, cash. I don't have a dime. Of course. Kofi, prepare a cash withdrawal from the operating account, Mr. Zubari said. Second, I continued, I need a place to stay temporarily, a secure hotel far from the sovereign apartments. That can be arranged. We have corporate rates with secure hotels. Third, and this is the most important, I leaned forward. I need all the financial data of Okafor Legacy Holdings LLC. And I need a recommendation for the best business restructuring consultant. Not from around here. I want someone from the Midtown Financial District, someone who doesn't know Kwesi. Mr. Zubari was stunned for a moment, impressed by the composure of the woman who 30 minutes ago looked homeless. I know a name, he said. They nicknamed him the Cleaner. Very expensive, very cold. His name is Seek. Good, I said. Give me the money, book me the hotel, and organize my meeting with Seek. I didn't stay at the hotel Mr. Zubari booked. That was my first step, not being predictable. After taking a considerable amount of cash, enough to make me dizzy if it had been yesterday, I bought a new phone, a new number, and several sets of simple but clean clothes at a nearby mall. Then I booked a room at the St. Regis, one of Atlanta's most luxurious hotels, under a fake name. For 24 hours, I locked myself in that room. I ordered room service, ate my first decent meal, took a hot bath, and slept. I let my brain process the destruction and rebirth in a single day. The next morning, I didn't call Seek. I knew someone like him wouldn't be impressed with a phone call. I went to the financial district in Midtown. Seek's office was in one of the skyscrapers, minimalist, cold, all glass and steel. I, in my new clothes, simple but neat, contrasted sharply with the setting. I want to see Mr. Seek. I don't have an appointment, I told the receptionist. Mr. Seek is busy, ma'am. His schedule is full for the next 2 months. Tell him, I said calmly, Zelika Okafor, owner of Okafor Legacy Holdings LLC, assets of 2,000 acres. This is urgent. The receptionist hesitated, but the words 2,000 acres made her pick up the phone. 5 minutes later, I was ushered into a corner office with a panoramic view of Atlanta. Seek was a black man in his mid-30s. He didn't smile. He wore a dress shirt with no tie, but he looked more formal than Kwesi ever did in his expensive suits. His eyes were sharp, analyzing me. I only have 10 minutes, Mrs. Okafor, he said, his voice deep and flat. Okafor Legacy Holdings. Dormant company, agricultural assets. What is the problem? I sat down without being invited. The problem, Mr. Seek, is that this company just woke up. The assets are large, but I don't know anything about pecans, peaches, or how to run it. And I have another problem that must be solved. What problem? My ex-husband, a developer in Atlanta. His name is Kwesi. He demands a share. He doesn't know about this. Seek raised an eyebrow. This is interesting. What do you want from me? I want you to restructure this company from the ground up. Audit everything. Make it an active, modern, profitable company. And I want you to be my personal advisor, I said. I want to know how to use this power. Seek stared at me for a long time. I am expensive, ma'am. I know, I replied. I don't deal with personal dramas. I'm not asking you to deal with drama, I countered. I'm asking you to teach me how to win a business war. The drama is the bonus. Seek smiled slightly, his first smile. When do we start? Yesterday, I replied. 2 weeks passed. Atlanta didn't know what was happening in the offices of Okafor Legacy Holdings. Seek and his small team worked 20 hours a day. They dissected the company. It turned out the assets were even greater than estimated. My father hadn't just bought land, he'd bought small shares in various agri-food companies whose value had now skyrocketed. I learned fast. I devoured financial reports, studied property laws, and learned the fundamentals of agribusiness management. Seek watched me. This client was different. I didn't panic. I wasn't greedy. I was focused. I was like a dry sponge absorbing all the information. During those 2 weeks, I transformed myself. I cut my long, dull hair into a short, firm, elegant bob. I threw out all my old clothes with the help of a personal shopper hired by Seek. My closet now contained tailored suits, silk blouses, and simple but classy dresses in strong colors, black, navy blue, and burgundy. Reading glasses replaced my contacts. High heels replaced sandals. But the biggest change was in my eyes. There was no fear anymore, only calculation. Are you ready to get back in the ring, ma'am? Seek asked one afternoon. I'm ready, I said. We didn't go to the hotel. Under my orders, Seek's team had worked discreetly. They bought an old mansion in the Cascade Heights area. Not a flashy new McMansion like Kwesi liked, but a historic, solid, elegant building that emanated an aura of old black power and generational wealth. The house was paid for in cash. When I walked into my new mansion, I was no longer the Zelika who was kicked out of the apartment lobby. I was Miss Zelika Okafor, CEO of Okafor Legacy Holdings LLC. Meanwhile, in the penthouse at the Sovereign, Kwesi and Anea's life was at its peak. This project, babe, Kwesi exclaimed one night, pouring champagne for Anea. This is going to change the game. After managing to kick me out, he felt invincible. His construction business was frantically looking for new projects. I have inside info, his eyes shone with greed. There's prime land, thousands of acres down in South Georgia coming onto the market. They say it's going to be opened up for a luxury development. I have to get the construction contract. Anea, busy taking selfies with her champagne glass, was only half listening. Oh, yeah. Great. That means our wedding can be in Turks and Caicos, right? And I want that new Birkin bag, the crocodile skin one. Sure, whatever for you, Kwesi said. But deep down, he was anxious to get such a big project. He needed a huge capital injection. Investors. His company honestly had quite a few debts to finance their lavish lifestyle. I'll organize meetings with all possible investors, he murmured. A few days later, Kwesi heard rumors in Atlanta business circles. Did you hear? An acquaintance said. There's a new player in town, investing like crazy. Bought a mansion in Cascade. Cash. Brought in a consultant from Midtown, that guy, Seek, the cleaner. What's the name? Kwesi asked, suddenly interested. No one knows exactly. Very secretive. But the company name is old. Okafor Legacy Holdings LLC. Ring a bell? Kwesi shook his head. Old-fashioned name. Probably some old money folks just realizing their assets. This is the opportunity. He immediately ordered his secretary to contact Okafor Legacy Holdings. He had to present his proposal for the development in South Georgia. He didn't know that the lands he coveted were the very ones listed in my father's deed. The invitation arrived. Okafor Legacy Holdings LLC was interested in hearing the proposal from Kwesi's company. The meeting would be held at the CEO's residence in the Cascade Mansion. Kwesi felt on top of the world. Look, Anea, they invited me. Surely, they've heard of my reputation. That morning, Kwesi put on his most expensive suit. He rehearsed his presentation in front of the mirror. He was determined to dazzle this mysterious investor. He arrived at the mansion. The high wrought iron gate opened slowly. He walked into a majestic but cool foyer. The walls were marble, the furniture antique and heavy. An assistant with a formal look received him. Good afternoon, Mr. Kwesi. Please wait in the meeting room. Our CEO will join you shortly. Kwesi was led to a grand library transformed into a meeting room. On one side, a very long mahogany table. On the other, tall windows overlooked a manicured garden. At the end of the table sat a man looking at his laptop. Seek. Kwesi thought he was the boss. Good afternoon, sir. Seek looked up. His eyes were cold. I am Seek, consultant. Sit down, Mr. Kwesi. Our CEO is on the way. Kwesi sat down. He started to feel a little nervous. The atmosphere in this room was too heavy, too silent. 5 minutes passed like an hour. Suddenly, the double doors behind Kwesi opened. He didn't turn around. He heard the sound of footsteps. High heels. Click. Clack. Clack. A firm, rhythmic sound on the marble floor. Sorry for the wait. A voice. A familiar voice, but impossible. Kwesi froze. He knew that voice, but this voice was cold, full of authority. He turned his chair slowly. The footsteps stopped at the other end of the table. There stood Zelika. My hair perfectly styled. I was wearing a navy blue power dress that wrapped my body perfectly. Reading glasses rested on my nose. My face was subtly, professionally made up. I looked at Kwesi. There was no hatred in my eyes. No love. Nothing. Just the look of a superior at a subordinate. Kwesi's mouth opened, but no sound came out. I sat calmly in the head chair. Seek stood beside me, handing me a tablet. I looked at Kwesi, then smiled. The smile didn't reach my eyes. "Good afternoon, Mr. Kwesi," I said. My clear voice filled the room. "I am Zelika Okafor, CEO of Okafor Legacy Holdings LLC. I leaned in a little. "Please begin your presentation. I heard you are very interested in the lands in South Georgia." I paused, letting my words sink in. Casually, I continued in a relaxed tone. "Coincidentally, all the land you covet for your ambitious project belongs to me." Silence. The silence in the meeting room was so thick that Kwesi could hear his own heart beating in his ears. A joke? This has to be a joke. But my eyes, the eyes that used to look at him with adoration, were now as cold as the marble beneath his feet. "Zelika," Kwesi managed to emit a sound. His voice cracked. "This is impossible. 2,000 acres. Okafor Legacy. Where did you get the money?" I leaned back in my chair, not answering that question. I turned to Seek. "Mr. Seek, what do you think of the initial proposal from Kwesi Construction Incorporated?" Seek, who had been silent like a shadow, spoke. His voice was flat and lethal. "Conceptually ambitious, but financially very weak. Mr. Kwesi, your proposal does not include adequate risk analysis, and your profit projections are too optimistic." Kwesi felt as if he had been doused with ice water. He came to dazzle a foolish investor. Instead, he was being audited. "Wait," Kwesi said, trying to control himself. His arrogance started to return, looking for logical explanations. "Zelika must just be a puppet. This man Seek is the one in control. Zelika just got lucky." "Zel," he said, trying a softer tone, the tone he used to cajole me. "I don't know what happened to you, but this is big business. Maybe we can collaborate. I mean, you know me. I'm the best builder in Atlanta." I smiled slightly. Oh, I knew him very well. "I don't have more time," I said, "but I will give you a chance." Hope lit up instantly in Kwesi's eyes. "My team," I looked at Seek, "will do due diligence. A complete life diligence of your company. We need to see your accounting, your list of assets, and your list of debts. We will not invest a single dollar in a company that is not transparent." Kwesi hesitated. Opening his books would be a disaster. His company wasn't as healthy as he bragged. "Why does it have to be so complicated?" he asked. "It's me, Zel, your ex-husband." "Precisely for that reason, Mr. Kwesi," Seek interrupted. "We must be professional. Take it or leave it. If you reject the audit, we will consider your proposal void and offer our land to another developer. I heard your competition from Buckhead is very interested." That was a threat. Kwesi was cornered. If he withdrew, he lost the biggest project of his life. If he moved forward, he had to open his wounds. "Fine," Kwesi said, forced. "Fine. Audit. I'm not hiding anything." I nodded. "Mr. Seek's team will contact you." "Good afternoon." Kwesi was escorted out of the mansion. He got into his car, his knees shaking. He didn't know if he had just escaped danger or if he had just walked into a trap. What he knew was that the Zelika he just met scared him. Kwesi returned to the apartment at the Sovereign in a mess. "Babe," Anaya greeted, jumping off the sofa. She was wearing new silk lingerie. "How did it go? Are we rich yet? When can we start planning the wedding in Turks?" "Shut up for a second, Anaya. I'm thinking," Kwesi shouted, throwing his jacket on the floor. Anaya was surprised. "Hey, why are you yelling at me?" Kwesi paced back and forth. "The investor is complicated. It's really messed up. What do you mean complicated? Did they say no? Anaya asked, her tone starting to get anxious. No, not yet. But my God, you're not going to believe this. Kwesi pulled his hair. The investor, the CEO, is Zelika. Anaya froze. What? Zelika, the homeless woman? She's not homeless anymore. Kwesi growled. She is different. She has a mansion in Cascade. She has a financial consultant. She owns the land. Anaya's beautiful face went pale. This was the worst-case scenario. Not because she loved Kwesi, but because her status, her luxuries, and her future depended on Kwesi's wallet. And now that wallet was threatened by the woman she had despised the most. Surely it's a bluff. Anaya shrieked. She can't be that smart. Surely she hooked up with some old rich man. Yes, that's it. She's a kept woman. Kwesi wasn't listening. She wants to audit my company. What am I going to do? Anaya's panic transformed into anger. That woman. Who does she think she is? Coming back and ruining everything. I'll handle her, she hissed. Handle what? Don't get involved. But Anaya already had a plan. She knew where the new black elite of Atlanta gathered. She would find Zelika. She would humiliate that woman in public, reminding her who she really was. A few days later, Anaya, through a friend, discovered my location, a luxury boutique cafe in the new office area of Buckhead. Anaya arrived with full force, designer clothes from the latest season, a flashy bag, heavy makeup. She saw me sitting alone in a corner, reading documents on a tablet, sipping tea. Anaya slammed her hand directly on the table, making noise on purpose. Well. Look who's here, she said, her voice projected so everyone could hear. Mrs. Zelika Okafor, right? Moving fast, huh? Climbing classes from being thrown out in the lobby to sitting in an expensive cafe. I looked up slowly, looked at Anaya, and then went back to my tablet. I said nothing. That indifference made Anaya even angrier. Hey! I'm talking to you. Here. Don't play deaf. Who do you think you are, huh? You're bothering Kwesi. Stay away from him. He is mine now. I sighed. I put down my tablet. Yours? I asked, my voice calm. Things that are owned are usually objects, Miss Anaya. Not humans. Don't give me lessons. I know your game. You came back to steal Kwesi from me again, right? Because he's successful. I let out a little chuckle. A cold laugh. Steal Kwesi, Miss Anaya? Why would I bother picking up the trash I already threw out? Anaya's face turned red. I stood up. Now I was at eye level with her. Listen well, I whispered, but the intensity made Anaya take a step back. I'm not interested in Kwesi. I'm interested in his company. And if you want to know, I looked at the flashy paper Anaya was holding. Kwesi came to me begging me to finance his project. He isn't even capable of paying for your lifestyle without begging me. Liar. Yes. I pulled out a black credit card, a Centurion card, from my wallet. A card made of metal. Today I feel generous. I called the waiter. The check, please. And also for this lady, I'm paying. I looked at Anaya. Consider it charity. You need it more than I do. I grabbed my tablet and walked out, leaving Anaya frozen in shame, turned into a spectacle for the entire cafe. The bait had worked. Kwesi was humiliated by the urgent need to hand over all his financial documents to Seek's team. Meanwhile, I humiliated Anaya in the cafe. Seek's team gathered in the war room of the Cascade Mansion. This isn't a company, Miss Zelica, Seek said, pointing at the large screen showing the cash flow of Quasi Constructions Incorporated. This is a house of cards built on air. Explain, I said. First, Seek said, materials. He charges his clients for grade A cement, but reports show he buys grade C. He takes a 40% profit just on material embezzlement. This is illegal and dangerous. I remembered a small bridge project Quasi bragged about. My stomach turned. Second, debts. Seek continued. He doesn't have bank debts. He's too smart for that. He gets into debt with small suppliers, sand pits, local hardware stores, small equipment rental companies. He delays their payments for months, even years, knowing they don't have the legal strength to fight him. The list of supplier names appeared on the screen. I recognized some names. And third, taxes. Seek said. He keeps 2 books, one for himself, one for the IRS. His tax evasion is massive. I sat in silence. The man I was married to for 10 years. The man I cared for when he was sick, turned out to be a scammer, an extortionist, and a thief. Good, I said, my voice steady. Seek looked at me. Good? Yes. This gives us a weapon. What is the next step? Quasi is only focused on us, on those 2,000 acres, Seek explained. He doesn't realize that his debt to the small suppliers is his weakest point. I want you, Zelica. He stopped, thinking about the strategy. I want you to buy all that debt. Seek smiled. I assumed so. I have prepared 3 shell companies in Delaware. We will buy every outstanding invoice from those suppliers. We will pay cash. The suppliers will be happy, I said. They will be very happy, Seek added. And Quasi will know nothing. He will only feel relieved because the collectors will stop calling him. He will think we are going to give him capital. How much time? I asked. Give me a week. In a week, Quasi Constructions Incorporated will no longer owe anything to the small merchants, Seek said. He will owe me. Exactly as Seek predicted. Quasi suddenly felt his life was easier. The calls from angry suppliers stopped. He considered this a good sign. He thought the news that he was going to collaborate with Okafor Legacy Holdings had scared the suppliers off. He was very wrong. Feeling the pressure decrease, Quasi decided it was time to take the last step. He had to secure me. Not on a business level, but personally. He knew the Zelica of before was weak, forgiving, and still loved him. He sent a bouquet of white roses, my favorites back then, to the Cascade Mansion, with a note, I know I was wrong. Let's talk like old times. Dinner at our usual spot. I almost threw the flowers away, but Seek stopped me. Go, Seek said. Let him dig his own grave deeper. That night, I went to the upscale restaurant where Quasi had proposed to me. He was already waiting. Impeccable. He ordered the most expensive wine. Zell, he said, taking my hand across the table. I allowed it. My skin felt cold. I ask for your forgiveness. I just looked at him, waiting. I know I was very wrong, he continued, his eyes getting misty. His performance was perfect. Anea, she's just a toy. I was pressured. Zell, business is hard. And you? You were busy with your mother. I felt lonely. So, was it my fault? I asked, my voice calm. No, it was my fault. Quasi rushed to correct himself. I was blind. I didn't see the diamond I had until I saw you in the meeting room the other day. I realized what? How fantastic you are. We can be the best team, Zell. Quasi leaned in. I've already left Anea. She's already out of the apartment. It was a lie. Anea was shopping with his credit card at that very moment. We can start over, Kwesi whispered. We will dominate Atlanta. You with your land, me with my expertise. Forget Seek. You don't need him. You only need me. I withdrew my hand slowly. Your seduction is good, Kwesi. Better than your business presentation, I said coldly. Kwesi was surprised. Maybe you're right, I continued, as if thinking. Kwesi had hope again. We really have to fix this, but I can't mix personal and business. Sure. Let's finish the business matter first, he said. I've already seen the result of your audit. And? Kwesi asked anxiously. And we need to talk seriously, I said. Tomorrow, in my office, at 10 a.m. bring your lawyer if necessary. Once that is over, then we can talk about us. I stood up, leaving Kwesi with a bottle of expensive wine and a sly smile, thinking he had just won. At 10 a.m. sharp the next day, in the meeting room of the mansion. Kwesi arrived alone, without a lawyer. He brought another bouquet of roses. He was very confident. He thought this meeting was just a formality before he and I reconciled. He entered the room. The atmosphere was far from romantic. I was already seated in the head chair. Seek was standing beside me. On the long mahogany table, there were no coffee cups, but stacks of thick legal documents. Zell, babe, Kwesi greeted, trying to break the ice with the flowers. Sit down, Kwesi, I said, my voice cutting. Kwesi sat, his smile faltered. Let's get to the point, I said. Mr. Seek stepped forward, placing a binder of documents in front of Kwesi. Mr. Kwesi, this is the list of debts of Kwesi Constructions Incorporated. Seek said. To Garcia Aggregates, a total of $100,000. To Bolt Hardware, $50,000. To Iberian Machinery, $200,000, and so on. The total verified debt with 12 suppliers is $500,000. Kwesi's face paled. What does this mean? I'm negotiating with them. They no longer need negotiation, I interrupted. Because everyone has been paid in full. Kwesi looked at me, confused. Paid by whom? I pointed to myself. By me. Seek pushed a second binder of documents. Through 3 investment companies affiliated with Okafor Legacy Holdings LLC, we have acquired, or bought, all those outstanding invoices. Copies of the deed assignment are in front of you. Kwesi opened the first sheet. His heart seemed to stop. In other words, Kwesi. I leaned in, looking directly into the eyes of the man who had destroyed me. Your company no longer owes anything to those small merchants. I paused, letting the silence fill the room. Your company now owes me. Me? Kwesi couldn't breathe. I can pay. I can pay in installments. Oh, of course, I said, but I'm not interested in doing business with you, and I'm not interested in getting back with you. I want my money back. I slapped the documents in front of Kwesi. According to the assignment clause, this debt is due. Now. You have 24 hours to liquidate those $500,000 in cash. 24 hours? That's impossible. No one has that much cash. Kwesi shouted, finally panicking. I do, I replied coldly. You set a trap for me. A trap? I stood up. I am only claiming what is my right, just like you kept all my rights before. If, in 24 hours, you cannot pay. I put the third binder of documents on the stack. Our legal team will immediately register the lien on that penthouse in the Sovereign, on your office, and on all your heavy machinery. Good morning, Mr. Kwesi. 24 hours. Kwesi never knew how short 24 hours were. After leaving my mansion, he didn't go back to the apartment. He panicked. He spent the first hour driving aimlessly, cursing me, Seek, and the whole world. The second hour, he started calling. He called his bank manager. I need a loan of $500,000. The collateral is my project in South Georgia. The bank manager laughed on the other end of the phone. Kwesi, don't joke. You don't have that project secured yet. Besides, your credit limit is already tapped out to finance, well, you know. Kwesi hung up abruptly. From the 3rd to the 10th hour, he spent calling all his business contacts, every friend he had invited for expensive wine, every small official he had tipped. The answer was the same: oof, tough, Kwesi, or sorry, I'm out of town, or they didn't pick up the phone. The news of his downfall, which somehow started at the mansion meeting, spread faster than wildfire. Hour 11. In his desperation, he returned to the penthouse. Anea was trying on a new dress she had just bought that afternoon. How does it look, babe? Nice, right? Sell it. Kwesi shouted. What? Sell it all. Kwesi screamed, his eyes red. Sell your bags. Sell your jewelry. We are bankrupt. Anea's face paled. These are gifts, not investments. Are you crazy? Zelika set a trap for me. Kwesi raved. That snake woman bought my debts. She gave us 24 hours to pay $500,000. Anea didn't care about the debt. She only heard one thing: the money ran out. At 10 a.m. sharp the next day, exactly 24 hours later, the doorbell of his penthouse rang. Kwesi, who hadn't slept all night, opened it. He hoped it was me, coming to cancel my threat after softening up. No. In front of the door was Seek, calm as a statue. Behind him, 2 well-dressed lawyers, and a man in an official uniform holding a thick folder, the sheriff's deputy. Your time is up, Mr. Kwesi, Seek said flatly. Wait. I need time. Time is a luxury you didn't give Zelika, Seek interrupted. He took a step forward. According to the order from the Fulton County Superior Court, we are here to execute the lien on this asset. The deputy began putting seizure stickers on the wall of the apartment foyer. No! This is my house. Kwesi shouted. Technically, it is the collateral for your debt to my client, the lawyer corrected. You and this young lady, he looked at Anea with disdain, are required to vacate these premises in 1 hour. Take your essential personal effects. 1 hour later, the scene in the lobby of the Sovereign turned into a spectacle. Kwesi, the same man who 10 days ago felt like the king of the place, was escorted out by security guards, the same guards who threw me out. Anea followed him, crying hysterically, dragging 2 suitcases full of her designer bags. Kwesi wasn't just bankrupt on paper. Now he was literally on the street, back at the ground zero he created for me, on the hot sidewalk in front of the lobby. The real drama had just begun. This is all your fault. Anea shrieked, hitting Kwesi's chest. You said you were rich. You said you were great. Turns out you're just a scammer. Kwesi, who had already lost everything, unloaded his remaining anger on the only target left. My fault? Your fault? Who asked for Birkin bags every week? Who asked for vacations in Turks? You made me spend, parasite. Parasite? Anea's jaw dropped. Their fight was so loud it became a public spectacle. They didn't realize that across the street someone was recording the fight with their phone. I didn't sign up for this. Anea shrieked. I'm done. She dragged her suitcase, trying to hail a cab. Where are you going? You won't survive without me. Kwesi mocked. You'll see. Anea went to a luxury hotel, trying to book a room with the unlimited credit card Kwesi gave her. "I'm sorry, ma'am, declined," the receptionist said coldly. She tried another card. Declined. All declined. Kwesi had blocked everything. Or it was the bank. Anea panicked. She called her high society friends. "Girl, I have a problem." The phone cut off. She called another. "Hello? I have bad signal." The phone turned off. She didn't know. Through my new network, didn't need to do anything. Seek just had to leak Kwesi's audit report to a few key people. The news that Kwesi was a scammer and Anea, the side chick linked to a bankrupt scammer, had spread through all the group chats of Atlanta's elite. She was toxic. No one wanted to associate with her. That night, the recording of her fight with Kwesi in front of the building went viral on local gossip blogs. Her beautiful face was now associated with bankruptcy and cheap drama. Her modeling career was finished. The doors of the high-class world closed. Anea, who once felt on top of the world, now had to sell her authentic bags, and some fakes she just discovered Kwesi gave her, one by one, just to survive. Back to the obscurity she hated so much. 2 weeks after the seizure, I sat with Seek in the meeting room of my mansion. The mahogany table was now full of blueprints. "All assets of Kwesi Constructions Incorporated have been liquidated," Seek informed. "His office, his equipment, and the penthouse. Everything is enough to cover the debt of $500,000, plus interest and legal costs." "Good," I said. "What will we do with the penthouse?" "We can sell it." I shook my head. "No. Sell all the luxury furniture inside. Empty it. Then give the keys to Mr. Zubari at the Heritage Bank. Tell them to give it as a bonus gift to Kofi." Seek raised an eyebrow, a little surprised by my cynical humor. "Kofi, the bank teller?" "Yes, he deserves it. He was the first one to help me." "Very well, ma'am. And the 2,000 acres? Will we proceed with the luxury development plan?" I stood up, walking toward the large window. Looking at the garden, I remembered my father's letter, "Build your own kingdom." Kwesi wanted to build a palace for the rich that people like me could only see from outside the gate, I said. I will do the opposite. I went back to the table and pointed at the new blueprints. I am going to build homes. I said that Okafor Legacy Holdings LLC would use the first 250 acres to build dignified, subsidized housing, complete with a school and a small medical center. "Ma'am," Seek asked, now truly interested, "for the workers in our pecan groves, and for the owners of the small suppliers who were almost destroyed by Kwesi? They will have priority and special discounts. And the machinery seized from Kwesi? We will use it to build those houses," I said with a faint smile. "It's poetic justice." Seek looked at me with undisguised admiration. "Not only that," I added. "On another 25 acres, I want to build the Okafor Center, a training facility for modern agribusiness and small business management. I want people like my father to have the chance to succeed without having to hide." I wasn't just getting revenge. I was building a legacy. I was done with Kwesi, but the law wasn't. Kwesi, who was now living poorly in a shared apartment on the outskirts, thought the worst had passed. He thought that after losing everything to me, he was free. One afternoon, while eating instant noodles, there was a knock on the door. "Police, Mr. Kwesi. You are under arrest." "What is this now?" "My debt to Zelika is paid." "This isn't about debts," the officer said. "This is about the use of substandard materials on the bridge project in Macon, and tax fraud." Kwesi froze. How did they know? He didn't know that Seek, on behalf of a client concerned about public safety, had anonymously sent copies of Kwesi's double ledger and the lab results of the poor quality cement to the district attorney and the IRS. He built a bridge that could collapse, Seek had said at that moment. It could kill people. This is no longer about him and me. It's about justice. The news of Kwesi's arrest was a local headline: elite developer falls, alleged corruption and fraud. In my mansion, I watched the news on the large TV. I looked at Kwesi's face, gaunt and angry, being escorted away. I felt nothing. Neither anger nor satisfaction. That chapter was finally closed. I turned off the TV. 1 year later, Okafor Legacy Holdings LLC was no longer a dormant and mysterious company. The company was now one of the new economic pillars in the South. I had revolutionized my pecan groves with sustainable practices, raising wages for workers and building modern facilities. The Okafor Training Center had already opened, and the first class had graduated. The first phase of subsidized housing was full. I was no longer called Madam Director with a tone of fear. The old workers called me Miss Zelika, or Tendai's daughter, with respect and affection. I was standing on a hill on my farm, looking at the green expanse under the afternoon sun. I was no longer the disheveled woman in the lobby of the Sovereign, nor the cold woman in the meeting room. I was Zelika, complete. Footsteps were heard behind me. Zelika, the view is beautiful, Seek said. He was no longer wearing a formal suit, just a casual linen shirt. Now he spent more time in the country than in Atlanta. Yes, I said, smiling a sincere smile. My father called this an anchor. Turns out this anchor can be used to build many things. You have built your kingdom, Zelika, Seek said. I corrected. We built it. Seek smiled. My team in Atlanta keeps asking when I'm coming back. Seems I need to give them an answer. And what is your answer? I asked, looking at him. Seek didn't answer with words. He took a step forward, looked at me, and then held out his hand. I am no longer needed as a consultant. The cleaner, they said. No, I replied, accepting his hand. The grip was firm. Now I need you as a partner. We stood there, watching the sunset over our kingdom. A kingdom that wasn't built on greed or lies, but on the rubble of betrayal, and raised again with the foundations of justice and a new legacy. What would you have done in my place? Have you ever faced such a shocking betrayal and found a way to not just survive, but thrive? Tell me what you think, I really want to know.